After hours of research, some careful consideration, maybe a couple sleepless nights, Alex and I believe that we have each crafted the perfect season, the perfect prediction for the Ravens 2024 season. Alex, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Doing good. Let's just get right into it. Going through every game in the 2024 season, starting off week one, Ravens at the Chiefs. The Chiefs, reigning Super Bowl champions, 8:20 Thursday night, prime time. What are your thoughts here?
I'm gonna say that coming off of back-to-back Super Bowls, the Chiefs are gonna start in a bit of a Super Bowl slump, and I've got the Chiefs losing to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens here, 27-24. What are you thinking here?
I agree. I think week one, Ravens win. A little bit of controversy in the media this week. Lamar said something about the game that it didn't have a whole lot of importance. It didn't matter who they played. What he said kind of got cut up, and people made it sound like Lamar didn't care about the game, like it wasn't important to him. But I think at the end of the day, the Ravens win. Everybody says they can't do it in the playoffs against the Chiefs. The Ravens lose. They say the Ravens can't beat the Chiefs. I feel like it's a lose lose either way. I think Lamar knows that. I think everybody on the Ravens knows what happens in the playoffs is the most important. I do think they get a win 23-21, a close one to kick off the season. Look for a Derrick Henry touchdown week one. Week two, a home opener against the Raiders, 1 o'clock. I think the Ravens take this one 33-9. I think that they run away with this one. They kind of get the offense going. Takes a little bit to get going after the first game, knocking the rust off, but I think they make a statement here in week two.
Yeah, I've got the same thing here. 30-13 is my score. They got Gardner Minshew that's going to be at the helm this year, either that or Aiden O'Connell again. I just really don't necessarily see the firepower stacking up anywhere remotely close to the Ravens here. I think Ravens, after having a tough battle in week one with the Chiefs, are already pretty much well underway going into week two. Should be a walk in the park for them.
I like it 2-0 for both of us so far. Week three, Cowboys. I think that's going to be a test playing in Dallas. The Ravens don't play the Cowboys very often. The Cowboys, great defense, a lot of weapons on offense. So I think it's going to be a close one. Also, Derrick Henry said that he wanted to go to the Cowboys. He had interest and they never called. I mean, the cap situation was tough for them. But I think this could be a Derrick Henry breakout game with the Ravens. Hits over 100 yards, gets a touchdown, just has a really good day. And that's what we paid him all this money for. I think Ravens win 24-20. I still think it's a tight game though.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's going to be a tight game as well. I've got the score as 30-27. I agree with you. I think, this could be a Derrick Henry revenge game of sorts. Obviously, never got the offer, never got a contract from Dallas. So, I think that this could kind of be a go out and prove it game for him, especially as he's getting older. He's just going to have some burst games here and there. I think this could definitely be one of them for him. I think that the Ravens defense, especially with a strengthened secondary coming out of this offseason, they should be able to help contain CD Lamb a little bit, help contain Dak. Zeke going back to the Cowboys as well. Their run game shouldn't necessarily be as strong. I don't see that being very prolific this season. I think the Ravens gobble that up and end up coming out of there with a win.
All right, so we both start off 3-0. No bias here. No bias. This is what's going to happen. No Ravens fan bias. Next up, at home, prime time. The Ravens have a mess of prime time games. They play the Bills. Talking about the secondary right there. This matchup, I think that's what it comes down to. The Bills lose Stephon Diggs, lose Gabe Davis, draft Keon Coleman, which he looks like he's going to be really good. His personality is fantastic. But Brandon Stevens, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, once he gets going, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, like the defense is just filled with names in the secondary. I think that they're going to be able to lock the Bills up. I think Josh Allen's going to have a tough day with just not the weapons he's been used to. So I think Ravens take this one 24-17. Lamar's electric in prime time anyway.
Lamar is definitely electric in prime time. This is going to be the first game that I disagree with you on, though. I think the Bills here with Josh Allen, they got James Cook. They're really going to be strong in the running game. Not that the Ravens don't have a strong run defense, but I think that, with Josh Allen just being able to make some of the moves that he does and just being the really powerful runner that he is, paired along with James Cook, you got the powerful tight ends as well. You can get some easy kind of RPO options going. there as well. I have the Bills winning this game 21-20. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I think after having two out of their first 3 weeks being tough challenges, I think Ravens are bound to drop one of those, and I have it being against the Bills here.
Yeah, I feel like I can talk myself into the Ravens winning any one of these games, so it does make it a little bit tricky. But next up, Bengals playing away, I believe the first divisional game of the season. I think it's going to be a tough one. The Ravens and the Bengals always go back and forth. Expect Joe to be healthy. Think it's going to be a good one. I'm taking the Ravens here 27-13. It could end up being a blowout. These games are just so unpredictable, but give me the Ravens again to continue undefeated.
Yeah, I've got the Ravens getting back on track here with a win 27-24 against the Bengals. Joe Burrow had his surgery last season, so he should be all set to go for this season. I think he gets back off to, he's notorious for kind of those slow starts, but I think right around here, around week 5, he should be able to start picking it back up some, but I'm not sure if it's quite enough to get through the Ravens defense, and especially with Lamar Jackson and company on offense. I think it's going to be a close battle, but I've got the Ravens edging them out here, 27-24.
I like it. I think the Bengals are the toughest competitor in the North for the Ravens. Steelers' new quarterback and the Browns, you never know what you're going to get. So I think every time we play them, it's going to be tight. But next up, Washington Commanders, your team. We have predicted several times already that Jaden Daniels will be the Offensive Player of the Year over Caleb Williams, over all the wide receivers that were taken so early. Jaden Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I think he's going to put together a good performance. I can't say that the Ravens are going to shut him out after a declaration like that. So give me the Ravens still, though, 27-20. I think it's going to be a close one. I think the Commanders are building. I think that they've gotten a lot of good pieces, a lot of one-year contracts. So I think overall the Commanders are going to put together a good season, but I think the Ravens take the edge just a little bit in this one.
Yeah, I don't have it quite as close as you do. I've got it 38-24 Ravens here. Like we both agreed upon, Jaden Daniels, I think, is going to have a really strong season to start his career, but I don't think one of his stronger games is going to be here against the Ravens. I think he'll have a solid outing. I think this is going to be more of a Brian Robinson game. I've got us scoring 3 touchdowns and a field goal. I think we do solid, but I think the Ravens secondary overall, I think this could be a really strong game for Nate Wiggins. I mean, we've got Terry McLaurin, we got Zach Ertz now as well. We've got another new weapon out of the draft at tight end, Jahan Dotson. But I mean, the Ravens secondary stacks up really well against them. I'm not really sure if I see us being able to squeak this one out, and I think that the Ravens are just a league above us right now, honestly, and that's why I've got it being a 2 touchdown game.
Hey, you said it. You said it. A league above the Ravens. I have high hopes for what they're going to do this season. So I hope so. That's going to be fun either way. It's a win-win either way. One of our teams wins that week. Next up, the Bucks on Monday Night Football. Ravens, gosh, they have so many primetime games. I love 1 o'clock games. So all these primetime games, it's going to feel weird Sundays at 1 o'clock because we just never play at Sunday at 1 o'clock. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though, in Tampa Bay. Baker had a great season last year. They have two elite wide receivers. Pretty good team overall, but I don't know. I feel like the Bucks are just they just never put it all together. So I expect that to happen again. The Ravens have seen Baker plenty in the past as he's been a Brown. So I think the Ravens take this one. And Lamar Jackson in prime time, unbelievable, electric. That's where the highlights come out, and this is where he's really going to put his name in the front of the MVP category once again. 5 touchdowns from Lamar, 35-24. Ravens roll the Bucks.
Yeah, I've got it 30-17. I think the Ravens defense is going to shine more here. Obviously, I think Lamar is going to have a good game, but I think the real difference maker here is going to be the fact that, like you said, the Ravens defense has seen Baker several times before when he was on the Browns. That should make a big difference here, help to shut them down, keep it more of a low scoring game than what you had it. So I've got it 30-17.
Speaking about the Browns, week 8 at Cleveland, the Ravens play 1 o'clock. There's the 1 o'clock game that I'm looking for. Last year, Ravens could have gone 2-0 against the Browns. They gave one up. Just these divisional games, they're just almost impossible to pick because even when a team is not good, one team's really good, it could go either way. I do think that this is the first Ravens loss of the season. I think that the Browns are able to put together a good enough performance. Their defense is still really good, and I expect that to get to the Ravens a little bit. Ravens take their first loss 23-17.
Yeah, that's crazy that I think that you got the Browns handing the Ravens their first loss of the season. Um, I think it's going to be a close game. I think still the Browns defense is elite. They got a lot going for them, but again, I'm just not a believer in the Browns offense right now. I think with Deshaun Watson at the helm, I have no belief in them. I think that they're going to be able to put up some points. So I've got the score as 23-20 in favor of the Ravens. I think they end up squeaking one out here.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're going to get from Deshaun Watson. It's been so inconsistent every season. It's like, all right, the rust is knocked off. Here he is. He's going to, all this money he's getting, he's going to show what he's worth. And it just doesn't happen. Um, they add Jerry Judy, which I think is a good ad, but I don't know. They played so much better with Joe Flacco. So we'll see. Next up, week 9, about halfway through the season here, Denver Broncos. Rookie QB Bo Nix coming into Baltimore. Baltimore loves playing rookie quarterbacks. They have, I don't know, new defensive coordinator. Who knows? But I think that they have a good chance of getting to the quarterback. That seems to be what they do. Um, I think I think this is one where Baltimore runs away with it 31-10. I think the Ravens show how dominant they are in this one. And again, Lamar just keeping his name at the top of the MVP race.
Yeah, no, I agree with you here. I got the score 30-13. I really don't think it's going to be a close contest at all. I think the Ravens pretty much run away with this one.
All right, so halfway point, Alex and I both at 8-1. Different ways to get there, but phenomenal start so far for the Ravens. Hopefully, this is what ends up happening. Moving into week 10, the Ravens play the Bengals for the second time this season, now at home, Thursday night football. Right after coming off a big win against the Broncos, could go either way. We expect Joe to just play really good. He's got two great weapons in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but I think Nate Wiggins is just going to continue to improve as the season goes on. If Marlowe can stay healthy, I think the defensive backs are going to be strong. And Brandon Stevens gets no credit back there. He played so good last season. He locked these guys up. Marlon was injured. Nate Wiggins wasn't there, obviously. So I think the Ravens have a good shot to contain this offense and without Joe Mixon as he was traded to the Texans. So I like the Ravens here 27-20.
Yeah, again, another spot where I'm going to have to disagree with you here. I think after getting a earlier season win against the Bengals. They're going to end up dropping this one here 24-17. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to lose two games to the Ravens here. I don't think he loses two games to any divisional opponent. I think if Joe Burrow is at his peak performance and has no injury problems throughout the course of the season, that he has the potential to make another Super Bowl, and I don't see him dropping two games in a row to any divisional opponent. For that reason, I'm going to go ahead and give the Bengals the edge here, 24-17.
Yeah, I feel like it normally ends up being a split one way or another, but I just love how the Ravens defensive group is shaping up with the defensive backs. I love the way that they're matching up against some of these teams. So we will see. We will see. Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers at Pittsburgh. Ravens get another the Ravens get another divisional opponent back-to-back weeks. I think that this could prove to be a tough situation. Divisional games are always really tough, but I think the Steelers will come in last in the AFC North. I don't expect that much from Russell Wilson. I think at the end of the season, it would be best for the Steelers to see what they can get from Justin Fields before they have to decide if they want to sign him to another contract next year. So, because of that, I think it's going to be a low scoring game in general, but even lower for the Steelers. 20-13, the Ravens win.
Yeah, I'm not too far off there. I've got 24-13 with the Ravens there. I think Russell Wilson and Justin Fields combined can give you more production than what Kenny Pickett gave you last season. And the Steelers' defense is always good. I mean, with Mike Tomlin at head coach, I mean, you're always going to have at least an above average defense there. So I think that they can help to keep the Ravens from running up the score on them. But at the end of the day, I don't think that their offensive firepower is going to match that of the Ravens. So I've got the Ravens winning 24-13.
I like it. I like it. We're pretty close so far. I mean, it's, it looks good to me. It looks good to me. Week 12, maybe one of the most intriguing matchups this season. Ravens travel to Los Angeles to play the Chargers with new head coach Jim Harbaugh, the brothers coaching against each other once again. I feel like overall in the last couple of years, the Ravens have gotten the best of the Chargers. And the last time Jim and John coached against each other, John did win. So I feel like John normally takes this, which is why I'm taking the Chargers to win this game. I think the Ravens lose Monday Night Football to the Chargers 27-20. I think it's a close game, but I think Justin Herbert improves a lot this season. I think that they lean on their running game. Even though they lost Austin Eckler to the Commanders, I think overall the Chargers improve a lot from what they were last season, and I think it's a good game right here. But ultimately, I think the Chargers take this one. The Ravens get their second loss of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just flip flop your score. I think the Ravens end up getting this one. You know, new head coach talking about picking up offensive weapons. Um, but when he's talking about offensive weapon, he's talking about offensive linemen. Like you said, Austin Eckler to the Commanders. So your RB1 is out of the building. Keenan Allen's gone. So who do we really have to throw to? Yes, Justin Herbert, in my opinion, is an elite quarterback. But if you don't have even par level receivers to throw to, or you have an average offensive line and no real run game, then I'm not seeing where the offensive production is going to be coming from. Obviously Justin Herbert will be able to make some things happen, but he's not Houdini. He's not going to be able to do the impossible here. So I've got the Ravens winning 27-20 here.
I mean, I like it. I like it. I think that it just somehow makes it easier for Justin Herbert. I think he has a better season than last year. They were just so disappointing last year. And then Jim getting the national championship coming into the Chargers, it just feels like the perfect fit. So I think we have high hopes for, I think most people have high hopes for the Chargers at this point. But I think that'll be a fun team to watch this season because of all the storylines happening there. Next up, week 13, 425, getting towards the end of the season where these games really matter. Playing the Eagles at home. I think this is going to be a tight one. The Eagles, two great wide receivers. We debated that the other day. Wide receiver tier list, AFC and NFC. So make sure to go check those out after this video. If you haven't already, we'll link that at the end. I think the Eagles are going to put together a really good season, better than last year. I think just so many ups and downs last year that it was shocking from what we had seen the year before. I think that they figured out a little bit sooner this year, but I think the Ravens do take this one 24-20. I think that the Ravens, again, defensive backs, I think that they're going to be so strong this season. I think that's going to be probably the best part of our defense, and I think they're going to be so fun to watch. So I think because of that reason, they're able to stop the Eagles. Saquon, though, is going to be maybe the difference maker in this one.
Yeah, I agree with your Saquon take. But that's going to be the exact reason why I have the Eagles actually winning this game 30-27. I think with Jalen Hurts and Saquon in the backfield, and then you have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith lined up out wide, it's going to be really hard to stop all four of those players at the same time. I think the Eagles are going to be able to come up with a way to scheme around the Ravens defense and make some adjustments to make sure that they get the ball into the right player's hands at the right time. And for that reason, I have them winning this game.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. But Derrick Henry, Saquon, both big free agent running backs and both got contracts. So it'll be fun to see how they fit with their new teams. Following that, week 14 bye, moving into week 15, playing at the New York Giants. Last time the Ravens played the Giants, they actually lost against Daniel Jones and Wink Martindale. I think that this time they win. I think it's a pretty big margin. I think the Ravens have a lot of offensive firepower and defensive firepower, and I just don't see that from the Giants. I think the Giants are going to be rebuilding this season, trying to figure it out and trying to figure out what they want to do with Daniel Jones. So give me 33-9. The Ravens absolutely clobber the Giants.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. I've got the score is 40-13. I definitely don't think the Giants are going to be able to keep up with the Ravens in this game. I think the Ravens, especially based on my predictions coming off of a loss against another NFC East team, they're going to come out and make a statement against the Giants and just come out and absolutely demolish them.
As we head into week 16, Alex has the Ravens at 11-3. I have the Ravens at 12-2, which would be a pretty fantastic season either way. Jumping into week 16, the Ravens get the Steelers again, playing on Saturday at 4:30 because of the Ravens Christmas Day game. I think it's going to be close again against the Steelers, but same thing as last time. I'm not confident in their quarterback situation. I think the Ravens are able to get it done. 2-0 against the Steelers this season, 23-17.
Yeah, I'm not too far off again. I've got 27-17. Again, I just really don't think that anything that the Steelers are able to come up with schematically are going to be able to overpower the Ravens offense or defense. And for that reason, I've got the Ravens sweeping the series this year.
I like it. I like it. That does not happen very often. Christmas Day, 4:30, Ravens at Texans. Last year, the Ravens got the Texans twice, beat them both times, but both games were fantastic. CJ Stroud, amazing season. And I was tempted to go Texans here at home on Christmas Day. But last year, the same thing happened. Ravens traveled to San Francisco, played one of the best teams in the league. Supposedly, the Ravens were going to get crushed, and the Ravens did the exact opposite. A mess of turnovers. We had a blast watching that game together. I think it happens again. I think the Ravens take this one 31-24, and they show the Texans who's boss. Who knows? They might see each other a couple weeks after this too.
That's what I'm thinking as well. But while I think the Ravens might win in the playoffs, I don't have them winning in this game here. I've got the Texans coming out on top 28-24. I think CJ Stroud comes out and really makes a statement win in this week. I think he's going to come out and really just throw some darts. He's not going to do anything crazy, but just really, really limit the mistakes that he makes and just make smart decisions throughout the course of the entire game, and that's going to be what ends up leading them to a victory at the end.
Their offense is going to be so good. That's going to be tough to defend, adding Stephon Diggs, adding Joe Mixon. So that would be a great one for Christmas Day, though, for sure. And finishing up the season, I think at this point, the Ravens have the number one seed locked up. The Ravens have the division locked up. I'd like to see Lamar Jackson on the bench, ready to accept his MVP trophy, ready to accept that first week bye. Playing the Browns, low scoring game. Ravens lose 17-10 to finish off the season.
Yeah, I'm not going to be too far off from you. Again, I would assume that even with my record having an additional loss, they're still going to have the conference locked up. They should be able to get that first round bye. They should be resting Lamar. They should be especially resting Derek. Anybody else that might have some dings and scratches throughout the course of the season. For that reason, I'm going to go ahead and have the Ravens drop this game to the Browns 10-13. So not too far off. Very low scoring game.
Yeah, that sounds like it's not going to be a super fun one to watch. It kind of always ends up being like that at the end of the season. Browns probably need to win to get in the playoffs, and the Ravens hopefully have everything secured by then. Alex has the Ravens going 12-5, which I think is very realistic. The Ravens' schedule this season is very hard, and I really don't see any weak spots in it. I have the Ravens going 14-3, which I'm sure is good enough for the number one overall seed, especially after beating the Chiefs, beating the Bengals twice, I believe I had. So should be good to lock up the number one seed. Any thoughts here on the Ravens season? Any last minute predictions before we send it off?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Ravens are going to have another great season. I mean, when you've got Lamar, you help to build up your secondary some. You didn't really lose a whole lot of key pieces. I would expect similar results to last year, which, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a great season last year.
Yeah, for sure. Derrick Henry over 1,000 yards, Rashad Bateman over 1,000 yards, Zay Flowers over 1,000 yards. I think that's what we're gonna get this season. That's all my predictions right there. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts down below. Until next time.